बाहर निकले नहीं। और वो घर की अंदर ही घूमने का आदत कर दी ना, मैंने चलने देखने को आपको बंद करनी पड़ी। अच्छा, नहीं वो तो है, जब देखो तो कुछ भी अभी आदमी को
Uh, Good morning to everybody. Am I audible now? Hello.
Sir, audible, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, audible.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
So, I will be speaking on the overview of existing and proposed water legislation in India. So, under this topic, basically, I will be discussing only two legislations, that is River Boards Act 1956 and Interstate River Water Disputes Act 1956. Only central legislation I will be talking, and there is one proposed legislation, namely Dam Safety Bill. I have not included that in my presentation. So with this, now I want to next slide.
थोड़ा लाइट डालिए सर, आपका फेस में शैडो दिख रहा है, डार्क दिख रहा है सर.
So starting with River Boards Act 1956, This act has been enacted under 1956 List 1 of Constitution. It provides for establishment of river boards to promote integrated and optimal development of interstate rivers and river valleys. As per this act, central government can constitute river board in consultation with state government concerned. And once the river boards are established, their function will be to promote coordinated and optimal utilization of river waters and promote development of irrigation, drainage, water supply, flood control, hydroelectric, etc. The role of river boards as provided in the Act is only advisory in nature. As per the Act, the board shall consist of the representative from central government and also the representative from the government interested, means those who are likely to be benefited from the development of waters of a particular river basin. The River Act also provides for arbitration of the dispute or difference between two or more governments interested with respect to any advice tendered by the board. Next. The Act provided for permanent kind of river boards, and further it also has a prohibition in the Interstate Disputes Act that if any dispute arises for a particular river basin for which a river board already exists, so such dispute cannot be referred to the central government under the provisions of Interstate River Water Disputes Act. It has to be resolved within the provisions of the River Boards Act 1956. So to that extent, there is a river board for any river basin under this act. There will not be any tribunal for that river basin. So there have been efforts in the past, immediately after 1956, and also in 1991, from 1991 to 1995, for establishment of river boards under River Boards Act 1956. But there has been no consensus. One or other states objected to the constitution of river boards, and therefore the central government did not move ahead with the proposals for establishing river boards. Now, there was one National Commission for Integrated Water Resources Development Plan in 2000, in the year 2000. It was constituted by central government. So it has given recommendation in many fields. It has also covered the field of River Boards Act 1956. So it suggested for a comprehensive legislation for river basin management and development by repealing the existing River Boards Act 1956, because the Commission felt that for the present situation, the provisions of River Boards Act are not suitable. Thereafter, Second Administrative Reform Commission of also suggested for capacity building for conflict resolution in 2008. So, acting on these recommendations, central government in 2010 constituted a committee under Justice Dubabia to draft a river basin management bill in replacement of the existing River Boards Act 1956. So that committee submitted report and also a bill sometime in 2012, and there has been discussion and consultation with all concerned in the ministry, outside ministry, and finally in 2018, Ministry of Water Resources circulated a draft river basin management bill and also placed it on the website, its website. So these are basically the regions given in the bill for preparing the river basin management bill, which says that with increasing population, I'm just reading those lines. With increasing population, need has been felt to have better management of water resources for domestic, agricultural, industrial, environmental needs, and other purposes. And it also says that existing legislation of River Boards Act 1956 is not adequate in meeting the aspirations of the citizens, and therefore need has been felt to have a new legislation for integrated management and development of interstate river basin. So this was circulated in 2018. Next. In June 2019, a brainstorming session with stakeholders and state governments was also organized in New Delhi on the proposed river basin management bill. The important features of the river basin management bill are listed below. These are the principles governing river basin development, management, and regulation given in the bill. So, first principle is participation. The bill states that basin states shall have the right to participate in the development, management, and regulation of water of an interstate river basin in an equitable and sustainable manner. Then cooperation. It says that basin states shall participate and cooperate in best interest of nation. Then equitable and sustainable utilization of water. This is another principle. As per the bill, basin states shall in their respective territories develop, manage, and regulate the waters of an interstate river basin in an equitable and sustainable manner. Then it also says that the basin states shall develop, manage, and use the waters of basin in order to attain the optimal and sustainable use thereof and derive benefits therefrom, taking into account the interest of all basin states, consistent with adequate protection of quality of water. So these are the principles further elaborated in the bill. Then conjunctive management. Under conjunctive management bill states, basin states shall make their best efforts to manage surface water, groundwater, and other pertinent waters in a unified and comprehensive manner. Then another principle is integrated management. Under this bill states that states shall make their best efforts to integrate appropriately the management of waters with the management of all related resources and encourage recovery and reuse of resources. And there are further elaboration under this principle. I will move on to next principle. Water is a common pool community resource. So the bill states that water needs to be managed as a common pool community resource held by the state under public trust doctrine to achieve food security, support livelihood, and ensure equitable and sustainable development for all. Then demand management is another principle. So under this bill states that water needs to be given priority, especially through evolving a agricultural system which economizes on water use and maximizes value from water and bringing in maximum efficiency in use of water and avoiding wastage. So these are 7 principles which will guide the authority proposed to be established under River Basin Management Bill to regulate, develop, and manage the waters of the particular river basin. Next. Now, as per the bill, a river basin authority can be established for a river basin or a sub basin of a river basin. For example, Ganga basin is a very large basin, so a separate river basin can be established for Yamuna sub basin, Son sub basin, and other Gandak, Chambal, etc. Similarly, there could be a river basin authority for 2 or more river basins. That means if there are 2-3 river basins, smaller river basins like west flowing rivers or east flowing rivers, which are which are having same basin states. So in that case, one basin can be established, one basin, river basin authority can be established for 2, 3 or such river basins. Now the bill proposes a two-tier river basin authority for management of river basins. So it shall consist of a governing council and executive board. Next. Now governing council shall be a political setup and it will consist of chief ministers of basin states duty that fall in the interstate river basin area, then minister in charge of water resources of the basin states and chairman of the executive board. This will be the constitution of governing council. Then how the chairman will be selected, this is also mentioned and I am just mentioning in brief. Chairperson of the governing council shall be from among the chief ministers of the basin states by rotation for a period of 1 year. So now next is the constitution of executive board. The executive board shall consist of a chairman nominated by central government and the administrative secretaries to the state government of the UT in charge of water resources, agriculture, drinking water, sanitization and disaster management shall be part-time members. And then there shall be some experts in environment, water planning, power, groundwater nominated by central government who shall be full-time members. The board shall have a financial advisor also and there shall be member secretary nominated by central government. So executive board shall be guided in the matter of discharge of its functions by the advice given by the governing council. Next. Then there shall be an advisory council also. This shall consist of all kind of public representative and this is briefly mentioned here. It shall consist of a one member of parliament from Lok Sabha from the basin state to be nominated by the Speaker Lok Sabha, one member of state legislature, two representative of Panchayat Jila Parishad, one representative from Water Users Association. Next. One representative from urban local bodies, municipalities, two eminent persons to be nominated by the state government from each basin state, three independent experts to be nominated by central government. And the tenure of these members shall be for 3 years. So this is just to have a people's view on the activities to be done by the river basin authority. This will be just a channel for obtaining the views of the public in general for the activities to be taken up by the authority. Now authority, one of the functions shall be to prepare a river basin master plan for river basin development, management and regulation. Next. And some of the elements which are mentioned here, which shall be part of the river basin master plan as given in the bill, are all the results of analysis of river basin characteristics, a comprehensive review of impact of human intervention on the status of surface water and groundwater, identification of protected areas, social and cultural flow needs and duration, environmental needs, groundwater and protected aquifers, a summary survey of existing pricing policies and economic analysis, a fair assessment of effects of existing legislation, and economic analysis for optimal allocation and the notional cost of deviation from optimal. So these are some of the principles. The river basin master plan shall include this, but will not be limited to these principles. There could be some other things depending on the peculiar situation of the particular river basin. So moving next. This is important feature that the river basin master plan shall be prepared duly considering various tribunal awards and interstate agreements in both. Next, then there is a schedule has been annexed to the bill containing the elements which shall be included in the river basin master plan. The schedule is there, and it can be modified from time to time without going into the process of amendment of the act. So this is a dynamic kind of thing. Schedule is a dynamic kind of thing. The bill has provision for functions of governing council, executive board, powers of chairman of executive board, and powers for efficient discharge of functions by the river basin authority, which I have not detailed here. Then nature of the decision given by the river basin authority has also been dealt with in the bill, and it says that recommendation made by the authority in exercise of its power and functions shall be binding on the government interested. The bill has also provision for dispute resolution mechanism. Now it says that where any dispute or difference arises between two or more governments interested with respect to any recommendation made by river basin authority, any measures undertaken by any government interested in pursuance of any recommendation made by river basin authority, the refusal or neglect by any government interested to undertake any measures in pursuance of river basin master plan evolved by the river basin authority soon after its establishment or the schemes or any part thereof. Sharing of benefits or financial liability arising out of any recommendation given by river basin authority, any other matter, then the governing council shall follow these principles: persuasions, conciliation, and mediation as a means to resolve disputes in its subsequent meetings. Now, these persuasion, conciliation, and mediation, these principles have not been elaborated in the bill. So, this has to be evolved by the concerned river basin authority as to how to go about these things. Then, after these processes fail, where the governing council of the concerned river basin authority fails to determine the issue, resolve the water dispute before it, or where government interested disagree with the decision tendered by such governing council, then the government interested may refer the matter for resolution under Interstate River Water Disputes Act 1956. So again here, now in the present River Board Act, there is a kind of bar that any dispute arising out of the river basin board's advice cannot be referred to the existing under the existing provisions of Interstate River Water Disputes Act 1956. But here there is no such bar, rather primacy has been given to the process for dispute resolution under the Interstate River Water Disputes Act 1956, and the dispute arising out of the recommendations given by the governing council are now referable to the provisions under the Interstate River Water Disputes Act 1956. Next. So this is all about the existing River Board Act and the proposed River Basin Management Bill, which is to replace the existing River Boards Act 1956. Now I will come to the Interstate River Water Disputes Act 1956. So this was enacted in 1956, and the act has been amended in 1968, 1980, 1986, and 2002. After the amendment of 2002, the act is known as Interstate River Water Disputes Act 1956. The main provisions of the act after amendments in brief are as under. So, first requirement is that state government has to make a request to the central government to refer a water dispute to a tribunal for adjudication. That means without any reference from any state, central government cannot initiate any process of dispute resolution under the provisions of the act. And then the act provides that after the request is received from one of the basin state, then central government has to come to the opinion that dispute referred by a particular state government cannot be settled by negotiations. So there can be variety of ways. As of now, there is no institutional procedure prescribed in the Act as to how the central government will come to the opinion that dispute cannot be settled by negotiation. So there are variety of ways for this thing, and different course of action has been adopted by the central government for different water disputes from time to time. Now, in the recent past, the central government has started constituting negotiation committees to explore the process of settlement of dispute through negotiations. Next. Now, this is composition of the tribunal. It shall consist of chairman and 2 members to be nominated by Chief Justice of India from among the sitting judges of Supreme Court or up to High Court. So they have to be these chairman and members, and they are nominated. They must be necessarily the sitting judges of the Supreme Court or High Court. Any retired judge cannot be nominated as a chairman or member of the tribunal as per the existing provision. Then there is a provision for appointment of assessors by the central government to assist the tribunal in the proceedings before it. So this is done in consultation with tribunal by the central government. Next. Then Act provides that the central government, after the tribunal has been constituted, shall refer the request received from the state, because central government particular states. It refers the dispute as is requested by the concerned state government. That means the request received from the state government without making any changes is referred to the tribunal, and then it is left to the tribunal to frame the terms of reference, issues, and so many things. So after that happens, the central government refers the request to the tribunal for investigation. Tribunal can do, there is no procedure for this also in the Act. So different tribunals have followed different process of investigation, and some of them have taken on their the submissions made by the parties. Tribunal. So this investigation process is left open to the discussion of the tribunal and party states. And after the investigation is complete, then it shall submit a report and decision. Now this is rather generally people say that award of tribunal is binding, or newspapers refer award of this Bachawat tribunal or Narmada tribunal, but award word is not there in the Act. It clear two things, whatever the tribunal submits to the central government. And there is time limit now, or there is a period of 3 years, but if that cannot be possible, then it can be extended for another 2 years. So in a period of 5 years, prepare a report, come to a decision, and submit both of them to the central government. Now there is a provision in the Act that after the report is received, then that needs to be studied by the state government as well as by the central government. And if there are some points of doubt or something is not clear or even in decision, so such doubts can again be referred to the tribunal, and the tribunal is now again required to go into those doubts or references, and and after going that After going through that process of doubts, then it will again submit a further reports. And through that process of further report, the whatever the clarification or modification it gives, that process modifies the decision of the tribunal. That means in practice, it has been observed that tribunal submits a further report and a modified decision along with that further report. So they carry out the modifications in the decisions given earlier and append that decision again with that further report. So but this has to be done within a year. However,
हेलो
hello,
हेलो
hello.
हाँ बोलिए
हाँ.
हेलो
So this has to be submitted
हाँ,
within a
नीचे हैं क्या?
this has to be submitted
हाँ हाँ, ले आइए हाँ हाँ, कहाँ पे हैं अभी?
from time to time.
ठीक है नीचे आके फोन कीजिएगा।
Yeah. So this has to be submitted within a year. However, this period can be further extended as demanded by the tribunal. There is no time limit how much this further extension can be given in the existing this thing. Then after this further report and modified decision becomes available, then that decision needs to be published by central government in the official gazette, and after that it becomes now it has to be given effect to by the party states. Next. Now after the decision is published, then it will have same force. Central government may constitute a authority also to give effect to the decision of the tribunal. And there is provision in the Act which prohibits the reference of any dispute to a tribunal which has already been referred to arbitration under the River Books Act 1956. Then there is a provision for maintenance of data bank and national level by the central government. Then all which is this provision is basically reproduction of the this thing, clause subsection 2 of Article 262 of the Constitution, and this says that all courts, including Supreme Court, are excluded to have any jurisdiction in respect of any water disputes, which may be referred to a tribunal under this Act. Then central government shall dissolve the tribunal after it has forwarded this report, and as soon as the central government is satisfied that no further reference matter will be necessary. Next. Then this is a special provision related to Ravi Vyas Water Tribunal, because the Ravi Vyas Water Tribunal was the result of a agreement. So this special provision was made in the Act, and this tribunal was created. So this is regarding that. Next. Now further amendments are proposed in the Act. So as per the legislative history of Article 262, it appears that the permanent body to adjudicate the water disputes that may arise from time to time was thought under Article 262. But in 1956, the tribunals which were envisaged under the Act were to be constituted as and when dispute arose. So they were kind of ad hoc kind of body and to deal with the situation arising as and when. So a review has been undertaken by Ministry of Water Resources of the functioning of system of the tribunals, and they have enumerated certain corrective measures, which I will be reading from the next slides onwards. So these are the observations of the Ministry of Water Resources. So there is no strict time limit for conclusion of adjudication by a tribunal. This strict time limit refers to the open-ended extension given under Section 5(3). So this is also mentioned here. Under the provision of Section 5(2) of the Act, a tribunal is required to give its report within a maximum period of 5 years. Then further under Section 5(3), 1 year time limit has been fixed for giving further report. Nevertheless, under provision thereto, central government may extend the period indefinitely till the report is submitted. Then by this process, the tenure of tribunal also gets extended indefinitely in respect of Kaveri water dispute. That is example, because it continued up to from 1990 till 2018, and similarly Ravi Vyas tribunal from 1986. It is continuing only under the further reference process. So this has been noted by the ministry in its observation. But despite not doing any substantive functions, the expenditure continues to be incurred on maintenance of the staff and other infrastructure logistics. Then there is no time limit for publishing the report or rather decision of the tribunal under Section 6 of the Act. Then there is no upper age limit for chairman and other members of the tribunal. They continue as long as tribunal exists or till they cease to function owing to death, permanent disability, or resignation. Then, as per Section 5(a) of the present Act, if for any reason a vacancy other than a temporary absence occurs of the chairman or any other member of a tribunal, such vacancy shall be filled by a person to be nominated in this behalf by the Chief Justice of India, and the investigation of by the tribunal only after the vacancy is filled up. So this also takes some time. Ministry has. Then in case of ad hoc tribunals, a lot of time is taken to make them functional. So if a tribunal is notified, say as on today, then arranging office for the tribunal, arranging staff for the tribunal, arranging other logistics like vehicles and housing accommodation for the chairman members. So this requires coordination with different ministries and the central government, and this takes around 1.5 years to 2 years. So this is also adds up to the delay in the process of adjudication. This has been noted by the ministry. The members of the tribunal belong only to judicial fraternity. At present, only judicial members are there in the tribunal. No technical member. Negotiated settlement. It is left open to the central government. The procedure for coming to conclusion that dispute cannot be settled by negotiations. So, efficiencies noted by the ministry. Next. So, to correct all these deficiencies, a bill was introduced in 2017. But the bill, a new bill was introduced in July 2019, taking into account the recommendations made by the Standing Committee of the Parliament. As per the object and reasons of the bill, the bill has seeks to achieve following things. So the bill seeks to streamline the adjudication of interstate river water disputes and make the present legal and institutional architecture robust. The bill proposes to introduce a mechanism to resolve the water disputes amicably by negotiations through a dispute resolution committee to be established by central government consisting of experts from relevant fields before such a dispute is referred to the tribunal. So now the process is proposed to be introduced. Six members, three judicial and three expert members. The term of office of chairperson and vice chairperson shall be 5 years or until they attain the age of 70 years. The term of office of other members of tribunal shall be coterminous with adjudication of the water disputes, and no member shall hold office after he has attained the age of 67 years. So then assessors, which used to be generally retired people, so now it shall be from Central Water Engineering Services, not below the rank of chief engineer. So only serving engineers will be there as assessors. So this is now the total time period for adjudication of water disputes shall be 4.5 years. Now this 4.5 years, 3 years for main adjudication under section 5.2 and 1.5 year for also for negotiation through negotiation committee, it is 1.5 year. So total 6 years. Then proposed bill also seeks to make provision for removal of chairperson, vice chairperson, and the members. Then it also seeks the currency of the certain disputes. Even now, there are representations from the states that central government should initiate process for negotiated settlement. So, in the existing act, there is no such provision. The proposed amendment, such provision is made for out of court settlement. The proposed bill also seeks to provide for transparent data collection system at the national level. That means existing section 9 is proposed to be modified slightly. So these are some of the important features in the bill. The bill has already been passed by Lok Sabha in July 2019 without any amendment and may be taken up in current winter session of the Rajya Sabha. Next. Then these two acts were enacted in 1976 and 1980. One is for construction of a dam on Betwa River at the intersection of UP and MP, and the other is for preparation of master plan for Brahmaputra Basin. And there is some 1980, although a formal bill has not been moved in the parliament, it appears. But in the Betwa River Board Act, this dam has been constructed. Now the board exists, but it is now not in the charge of construction, rather it is now maintaining the dam and reservoirs. Then Damodar Valley Corporation Act, it is very old act, and then these are the part of the acts basically. The Andhra State Act 1953 is not related to water resources as such, but there are provisions for management of water resources in these acts. So these are 6 acts. Tungabhadra Board was established. Punjab Reorganization Act, BBMB is functioning. Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, 2 boards are envisaged, but they have not been set up so far. Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act, 2 boards are functioning, namely GRMB and KRMB. Acts. There are some other acts also maintained by central government, but not by Ministry of Water Resources, like Environment Act, Forest Act, Pollution Control Act, all those things. I have not touched them because they refer to a specific part of water or water as a component of entire thing. So I am now concluding my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If any questions, kindly write on chat box or direct ask. Sir, there is one question from PD Rao, Director M&A AP. He is asking why the central government not constituted the boards to be called the Ganga and Son Management Board under Section 78 of Bihar Reorganization Act 2000 even after the lapse of 20 years. If the successor states don't come into an agreement for sharing of Son Basin and Ganga Basin waters within 2 years, the central government by order determine within 1 year their shares. Is it failure of central government? Is the central government acting selectively only as in case of southern states?
Now, this question, I think Mr. Rao knows entire thing. So I may not be very specific about it, but I can government has initiated the process of constitution of at least Ganga Management Board, and it has been trying to evolve a consensus between the two states, that is Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand, and it is still continuing. It is in the process of being set up. So perhaps due to actually after the enactment of Reorganization Act 2000, the two states have instituted a standing committee. Jharkhand and Bihar have constituted a standing committee in respect of projects which are common to both of them. So the function of the proposed Ganga and Son standing committee, and therefore because the states did not show much interest, therefore central also did not push through that with that course. So this is a general idea which I am having. Exact position may be available or in the Ministry of Water Resources, which is mainly concerned with the administration.
Sir, further his next question: why the central government not constitute board to be called Ganga Management Board under Section 79 of UP Reorganization Act 2000?
That I have answered, I think. And they are in a very advanced stage, I think, and it may come through any time. But exact position may be available in the ministry, because I don't have access to that. So, and this is all confidential thing, so I can't. That is in quite advanced stage, especially Ganga Management Board.
Thank you, sir. Further, more questions? If any doubts, any queries, kindly put on chat box or directly ask.
There is a question why composition of tribunal is not multidisciplinary and why it consists of persons. So now this question is already answered. Now there is a proposal to have the tribunal as a multidisciplinary unit, both from judicial side as well as from the technical side. So far as existing tribunals are concerned, they are assisted by assessors. So it is a kind of multidisciplinary only. Only thing is that the assessor's status is not that of the judges. Then there is a question in proposed amendment of ISWD Act can the parties seek further to keep disputes alive like at
जी
events? Issue is here that Act has a certain set of clauses under which the dispute is to be investigated, report and decision to be given, and then it has to be implemented by the state government, and central government can also come forward by this thing constitution of some kind of authority also. But far as so far as grievance in particular state is concerned, it is always open for that state to approach either central government or to the Supreme Court or High Court. And basically, it is for that authority to take into consideration the provisions of the Act and interpret them in the spirit they have been put in the Act, and then give suitable direction to the states which approach the Supreme Court or High Court. So on this, I can only say this much.
Thank you, sir.
There are
Further, any questions? Any more questions?
Acha, there is another. In case of RBM bill gets passed by Parliament, central government will constitute RBH for 13 specified basis executive orders. Board will it require amendment to review of previous legislation or agreement. So now in the bill there is a provision as of now take a view of the existing authorities are there. It is there under clause subsection 5 of section 11 of the bill. It says that central government on enactment of River Basin Management Act may decide on the existence, role and functions of the existing river boards, authorities or overlap functions with River Basin Authority established under the Act. So now it is left to the central government to decide the role of the existing river boards authority vis-a-vis the new river basin authority under the river basin management. It will depend on the particular situation of that board and the role of the authority. So this has not been very much elaborated in the Act, and perhaps suggestions on this aspect also. I believe central government will take into account all those aspects for introducing the bill in the Lok Sabha. So far, bill has not been introduced in the Lok Sabha. So I believe I have answered this question. There are no further questions in the chat box.
Yes. If any questions? Okay. Can we end the session? Thank you, sir, sharing for your views on this topic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now our next session will be on 2nd November 2020 on next Monday. The topic will be National Water Policy, and the speaker will be Shri A.B. Pandya, sir. He is former chairman Central Water Commission and Secretary General ICID, presently working in ICID. Okay, friends, thank you. We will meet on next Monday on 2nd November. Thank you.